The ruffles, the color, the style. How fun this dress looks, right? And I can make it a really easy sewing project. Who am I? I am Elena and welcome to Ambitious Elle Patterns. Are you ready to make this happen? Let's do this! You will need 4 meters of your main fabric. I chose a vivid pink cotton. At this point my fabric is already cut, so it looks kind of used, but soon it will look fantastic. You will also need fusing material, matching threads, elastic thread, actually lots of it, and about 4 meters of piping. First, add fusing to the 2 front-facing parts and the 1 back-facing part. On the front part, looking at the wrong side, mark the chest start, fold, pin if necessary, and sew. Always prefer to hand comb instead of backstitching at the top of the dart because it gives a smoother result. At this point, we will add piping to the front parts. If you are a beginner, I would advise you to skip this part. Just follow the steps where we assemble the front parts and skip the steps with the piping. Looking at the right side of the front part, align the piping with the edge of the fabric and start sewing. Use a narrower seam allowance than usual. If this seems too difficult for you, then use pins to adjust the piping to the fabric and then sew. Continue like this until you reach a corner. Stop sewing around 1 cm before you reach the corner. You can use a pin as a mark if it helps you. Then using scissors, make a notch to your piping tape. Fold the piping to match the corner, and if you use a pin like me, remember to take it off just right before you start sewing. Then continue sewing piping to the fabric until you reach to the end of it. Place the facing to the front part, right sides looking each other inside, and pin. Do your best and be neat in these procedures and you will be awarded by the results. Then sew. After finishing, use the scissors to cut the corner. Turn inside out, and if you are happy with the result, continue to the other side. It may need 1 take or 2, but don't be discouraged because once you master the skill, you can never forget it. Pin the back facing to the front facing, right sides looking inside, at the one side and at the other, and sew. At this point, if you haven't already, I recommend a good pressing. Then, fold the collar so that the upper corner meets the waist seam. You may need to pin it. Repeat for the other side. Cross the 2 top parts, placing the one on the other. If you have a good and a bad piping side, put the good one on the top. Match the one notch to the other and pin. Then sew this part from one collar to the other using a narrower seam allowance than usual. If you reached until here, then everything else following is much easier. Following, we will work on the layers of the skirt. More specific, we will sear one edge of each layer. Do that using an elastic thread. Just replace your regular thread with an elastic thread at the bobbin of your sewing machine and you're ready to sew. As the fabric passes under the needle, the elastic thread helps it to transform to seared fabric. This will make it easier to assemble the layers together. You will find that some layers are too wide, so they need to be cut in 2 or more pieces. It's okay, once the fabric is seared, these seams will be almost invisible. So once you complete the searing, start by placing the first layer to the front part, right sides facing inside and the searing looking at the bottom as pictured. Pin and sew. Place the other first layer to the back part as well. Continue with the second layer for the front and back parts. Then the third and finally the fourth layer. While still in the fever of searing, perform it in the sleeves too, following the marks. Pin and sew the sleeves. And then, starting from the edge of the sleeve, work your way sewing towards the hem of the dress and then check the fitting. If you find it too long, you may need to cut, but please cut evenly from all layers and not just from the final one. Once you're happy with the length, double fold the hem and the sleeve hem and sew. If you added piping to the collar, then you already know how to sew the belt. Just one quick tip. Leave seam allowances to the edges so that you can sew them together. Then place the other part and leave a small gap from which you will turn the whole belt inside out. Your dress is ready to be taken out, and honestly we think it's ready to dance too. Have a nice time, it was nice seeing you, see you at the next project, bye!
Of mine, what do you feel beside? I don't know where we're gonna fly like you did sometimes. Seeing eyes